Yeah. So um, we're gonna just treat this more like an informal conversation, right? And just talk about the ecosystem, as this topic says, say building the African cloud native ecosystem. So where are we? Where are we going? And all that. It's kind of like a check-in. We have KCD Nigeria 2026 coming up in 2 3 months, right? And if you've not gotten your ticket, get your ticket now. We'll share the link on the KCD, like I say, page on LinkedIn and everywhere else. So make sure you get your ticket because the early bird ticket is about to be sold out. I think it's more than 50% gone on the super early bird ticket. So yeah. So thank you very much, Anita, Gloria, and Somtochi for coming. So I will just start by introducing all these our amiable speaker. How do they say it? Right. So first of all, Anita is a CNCF ambassador. So if you're in the cloud native space all over the world, you should know Anita because she's a community leader. She has worked with several companies in this space, and without her, we wouldn't be doing KCD Nigeria 2026, right? And thank you very much, Anita, for taking your time to be here with us.
Thank you for having me and and
Yeah,
tooting my horn.
yes, so yes. So then I think next we have Gloria. Gloria is our any if once you see anything that's happening in the KCD Nigeria social channels, whether on LinkedIn or Twitter, just know that is a Gloria that is like handling the logistics, the ideas, and everything. So she has been an active member in the community and helping us bring KCD Nigeria 2026 to life, right? So thank you, Gloria, for gracing us with your presence and for coming to share your thoughts.
Thank you, Divine. Thank you, everything DevOps, for having me.
Yeah, and then the last, I wanted to say last but not the least, but the last, and big people have to go. Thank it's
I
African
know.
channels, so we can bring our
Don't worry, last and least.
African side this thing, eh? So she knows ourselves, our staff, senior staff software engineer, be
I dey
principal
rise.
staff software. So we have Somtochi here, right? A staff software engineer at Fly.io. Everyone in the cloud native space and technology will know Fly.io. We at everything develops, we use Fly.io. So maybe you give us credits after this call as well to help our bills. So she's here. She's been an active contributor to the community, KCD for years now, from speaker to be a mentor. I think we first met in the US, right? I think Detroit or so in
Yeah.
2022 or is it 2023. And she's a mentor of mine, right? I would say. And yeah, we are opportune to have her here because she's very, very busy. So thank you for this. And so I've spent so much time introducing you people because you people are big. So we need to do good introduction. Right. So we can just get to it. And I think the first question I want to ask, right? I'm looking at the our guideline, right, for today, just to channel our conversation, is like what has changed, right? The first question I want to ask before the what has changed is the African cloud native ecosystem thriving or we are overstating our progress? And I want to start with Gloria for that question. Why I want to start with that question with Gloria because she's somewhat of a newer contributor, right, to the community than our other industry leaders, right? So she can give us our perspective for being a new person in the community. Then our OGs, as they say, will now like give us their perspective. So are we hyping too much? It may be my fault is we're hyping too much, say like noise, right? Or like we're actually growing and thriving. So what do you think, Gloria?
Okay, kindly confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, yes, perfect. We can hear
You
you
can
well.
see me as well. Okay.
Yes. So,
Okay, so I think the African cloud native ecosystem is thriving. No, you're not hyping. You're not hyping. I really think it's thriving because I personally, as a newbie in the space, I can see how the barriers are being lowered for
mm,
newcomers in terms of mentorships, opportunities, conferences like
yeah,
KCD Nigeria, to launch this into like for more people to get started and
Yeah.
contribute. So I really think that we're thriving and we have come a long way over the years,
Yeah.
from when I even got to know about like the cloud native ecosystem to now that I'm, contributing, I would say that there has actually been like significant progress.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, right? And I know Anita and Somtochi will be feeling so proud as being the OGs and all. So, like, I don't know, Anita, what do you think? Do you think we're thriving, right? And Anita has been part of KCD, right, since like 2021. So, Anita, what do you think about our growth so far? If you are to evaluate us,
Oh my goodness. I think there has been immense growth
yeah,
from the cloud native community in Africa in general. I think at the initial it was called KCD Africa,
yeah,
and the goal was to actually bring together all cloud enthusiasts within the African ecosystem. But then I realized that that's a really, really, like, as possible as that goal is, Africa is a really large continent with a
yeah,
large number of persons, and we hadn't um also like gotten the audience of those in Nigeria enough.
yeah,
And so we had to like rename it to KCD Nigeria for better growth and niche it down. And
yeah,
I think while we did that, it also helped us in a way because now we have a better understanding of the community that we're working with, right? And
yeah,
in the past couple of years, we have had a whole lot of persons come up within the ecosystem, from beginners that are getting into the industry to
mhm,
experts that are taking on leadership roles in international organizations, and also those that are also building cloud communities,
yeah.
or like some of the local chapters for like the CNCF groups and all of that. There has been a whole lot more of these emerging from different parts of Nigeria that we can trace back to the efforts that um, came from KCD Nigeria, and all that has been put in. And that alone tells me that there's a lot of growth going on within the ecosystem. I would, in a way, I would want to not attribute it to the efforts that we're putting in, because that look like I'm being humble. But yes, there's a lot of people that are doing great work
Yeah,
and spreading the word about cloud native as a whole within Nigeria. And just to add to that, the efforts that we're doing within the KCD Nigeria group also has become so
mm,
contagious that other parts of Africa are also picking up on it. I know last year we had like KCD Ghana, and it
yeah,
was because of the effort that we did with the effort that we had done with KCD Nigeria, that the community there to decided to organize one. And I hope that in the coming years we have more from other countries within Africa, right? But like this
mm.
alone is enough evidence to show that it's a thriving community and there's so much more growth like to look forward to.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, right? And like you just said something, who brought this comment to the to show on the screen? I try. Don't worry. This is my CV, right? So when if tech does not work out, maybe I can just rent an apartment and start doing my comedy live every Friday or something. Like you will come and I'll see money. But that aside, thank you for sharing that, Anita. And I just remember something. I remember I made a post. This is the beginning of the year that of the growth of like the community groups going from I think it was just one or two. It was Abuja that you started, and
Yeah,
I
and
think
Lagos.
Lagos. Yeah, but now it's about five. And then when I was in Port Harcourt, right, because I'm from Port Harcourt, in I think last month, someone met me and they said they are setting up CNCF Port Harcourt, and like now
Yes.
we have CNCF Port Harcourt, and the ripple effect, right? And I think what we have done differently, with the what we're doing more right now than the past 4 years, is that we're talking more. Because before we just like do an event or do something, and then everybody, the Nigerian saying, to your tent, to Israel, right? But now we are not going with our tent. We're there, we're every day, we're active, right? And that's really, really good. I think that goes to my next question, right? I just remember the conversation that Sumto I think was it a good conversation or something, right? We were mentioning about like we need to be contributing more like to open source, like code based open source project and all. So I, I I want to use that to lean on to this question I want to ask, right? So what gaps frustrates you the more, right? About like the community in general and all, because yeah, we're making progress, but we are not yet in our we are still there's still a long way to go, right? So what do you think we can improve before we now start talking about what we can improve and like go into specifics? So what do you think?
Okay, what can we improve? Well, there's a lot to improve. So I would say like a good example of like an explosive community, I would say, is Indians. You have to hand it to them, right? They know how to get in somewhere.
True.
Just to be sure, are you listening to me?
Yeah, 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 we
Uh,
can hear you.
exactly. So they know how to get in somewhere and like really position themselves and being able to like bring in community, being able to grow like the ecosystem in terms of like developers, in terms of resources, in terms of access to their region.
Yeah.
I think there's KubeCon India this year.
Yes. Yes.
There's KubeCon India this year, which is crazy, right? Because but that didn't just happen. It was a testament to like the work they've done in Kubernetes and the cognitive communities, in terms of developers, in terms of even companies, in terms of resources, learning resources, all of that.
Mm,
So I don't think like we have made a lot of progress, I would say, over the past few years. Like literally we went from like online events, like just KCD Africa, then different KCDs in Africa, and then
yeah.
online events to in-person events to like CNCF groups in different states. So of course we see like the progress, we see
Yeah.
things spreading. But I'll say we need more energy, more energy. So
Passion.
I think we need more energy, right? In
Mm,
terms of how we show up, in terms of how we absorb people coming in. Yes, we're shouting, but I feel
mm,
like there's more like that's especially in well, at least for contributors. I think like we encourage a lot of new contributors, but there's that like I would say pipeline. Like okay, as you're contributing, there's growth. Like there's general like resources for growing as a contributor in
yeah.
most cognitive projects. But like I feel like Indians have like there's a little more guidance for people who are just coming into it, and that I think
Mm,
we're lacking, right? So that's a gap for me. Um, that would be a major gap. Another thing is, like I said, energy in terms
yeah.
of, like you said, it used to be before we just come, okay, here it is, cloud native, contribute, and go up away. And
Mm,
less of that is happening. I definitely see the progress. But the more that we can speak, the more that we can
mm,
like talk about this, that helps. I also feel like, sorry, I'm very, I feel like I have too many problems on my mind. But just listening, it is like, I feel like there's also lower collaborations between the
mm,
community companies. So this is also the
mm.
balance.
Thank you very much. They should collect their sub now. You're
As much
watching
as
this now or in the future. Collect
Nigerian
your sub.
companies that are in our native space come out and support us. Come out and like it's just like I feel like one of the ideas like I had for like KCD even after the
Mm,
events like okay maybe reaching out to companies who are using Kubernetes who have like labs.
yes.
Like I think I read somewhere that Money Point is using GKE like in some massive deployments, which is like I kind of just saw it randomly on Google's blog, but it's not
Yeah.
something like as a community that we're like, oh, this company is using this thing. This is how they are helping. They are contributing to the community. So I feel like there's that a little. Not that I'm calling out money points, just to be clear. I'm just using them as an example of people who are
Mm,
seriously using Kubernetes, but like it just feels like they're using Kubernetes, but there's no like integration back into the ecosystem. I think that's something that could be made better. Basically, that connection between corporations and communities in Nigeria is kind of missing because, in the end, right, we also don't just want to see developers contributing and building community, but want to see that there's also a market for this in this region, right? There are
yeah.
also companies who are like benefiting from the work that is being done cloud native. Like, if we're all cloud native developers, but no company is actually using cloud native technologies in Nigeria, that's not going to be encouraging, right? So I think that's also something. I'll just stop at three. But yes,
Yeah.
I think those three things are probably the major things for me.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, right? And like based on all the things you have said, if you want to just focus on those three, we can use up all the time because the problem plenty, right? But I think one thing. Let me just look at talk. Let's talk more about the last one, right? So, and this affects them in the long run because then again, the talent is leaving, right? Because one, either the talent does not know that there are opportunities here, right? Two, or either we don't go to grow the talent, and when the talent go out of like Nigeria, they start like growing in those skills and all that. And then you see a lot of companies, right? I don't want to mention names. Some of their lead cloud native engineers and cloud native team are not Africans. They are not Nigerians, right? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing, right? I know a lot of Nigerians are leading teams outside the country. Me, I'm not living in the country at this one. But what I mean that for the early stages, the amount of context that someone being from here has in building something, right, and especially pipeline for the next generation is more. And we have like that talent. It's just our talent is leaving, right? And all. So that is something. So what do you think? My question is, what do you think these companies should do? Right? Is it sponsor? Yes, I want. That's what I want them to do. Sponsor KCD
Sponsors, give us
Nigeria.
your money.
I'm chatting that one now. Sponsors, right? But beyond sponsorship, right? How would you think? For example, you mentioned Money Point, right? I know they started creating content of like the architecture and how they use crossplane and all, right? So, what do you think these companies can do in the long term, like both those companies, not even only Kubernetes, because it must not be only Kubernetes to be cloud native. There are other cloud native tools and all that all out there. So what do you think they can do to like get people, right? And this is to anyone that has any point, right? Beyond something to add. What do you think they can do to get people um to get talent, right? And also to enable talent beyond sponsoring. Maybe that sponsoring is too is we know is in Nigeria, right? For example, and an African thing is hard for a company to give money. Maybe that's too much to ask. So what's asking something small, right? So what do you think they can do? What's the barest minimum? If I should put it like that.
So, my thought on this is, right, if you take note of most of the
Mm,
international organizations that are actively using cloud native tools, they attach or find themselves to like associate with community, like cloud native communities, even
yeah,
though their tool or their product are not like maybe project under the cloud native, they find
yeah,
ways to associate themselves with that. And as a means, their communities see a way to like contribute to the larger cloud native organizations, or those
yeah,
that are using this project can identify that, oh, this project has some attachments with these, and so they like it's easy for them to contribute or like render services. But there's this isolation that most of the
mm,
pro or companies within Nigeria tend to do, that like some to mention, a lot of companies are currently using cloud native tools. Some of them are open source, but they never voice out that they're using this within their pipeline, or they never tell you how they're using this. It's never part of their story, and so we never know at some point. And I think that's what even led to like the theme of this year's KCD Nigeria, because I realized that there's so many organizations that are actively using cloud native
yeah,
project, but we don't know of what their stories are. We don't know of how the infrastructure is. We don't even know how that came about. And I feel like getting to hear about this would inspire a lot of persons to want to, you know, get involved in the process. So now, assuming, let's take the case of like MoneyPoint, for instance, you find out that it's using a tool like Kubernetes within their pipeline. It's very easy for somebody who is interested, right, with it,
mm,
about like with the project, to associate themselves with the Kubernetes community and say, oh, eventually I want to like tailor my contributions towards back to a company like this, right?
yeah,
But we often don't see that happening because like there's this closeness, there's this silo movement with companies within Nigeria that are using cloud native tools. I don't know why there's this secrecy. Whether it's secrecy, I don't know, but like they're hiding it.
It's an African thing. I would say it's an
They're
African
hiding it.
thing.
Like, why
Yeah.
you're using this project? Can you just tell the world that you're using it? And I think from telling the stories of how you're using it, people easily can associate themselves, right, and find ways to also involve themselves with like the part of the process,
Yeah.
because that's like, for me, I think that would be a good way to start. Because why are we hiding the fact that we're using cloud native project, or why are we not being verbal enough about the fact that it is part of our infrastructure? And if we're not, how can we also voice that out? Is it like a leadership thing, or
Mm.
is it the developer thing? So
Yeah.
like that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And while you were just talking, I was just thinking, right? Because additional said additional said, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, right? Said that um we need to train more talents, right? Start training talents. And that is true. We know the time of Andela, right? Andela like created like a crazy pipeline. But then again, that one, because of we know what happened, he just vanished out of somewhere, right? And then the mass immigration, immigration of talent and all. So I was thinking, all right, most times if you see like when we think of tech companies, a lot of people mention pay stack and all. But most companies now they want to copy paste stack. They copy paste stack from like pay stack documentation, pay stack this thing. They copy the things that let's say you can directly tie to monetary value, right? Or directly tie to growing the business. But you would not see that they actually create a lot of stuff, open source stuff. They actually do a lot of like they have a YouTube channel. They actually create content. That's why I mentioned like I like what I see Money Point is doing because those things, right? You cannot like directly see their value in building a business. And I know it can be hard because building a business in Africa is hard. You have so many more important things, right, in quotes than that, right? So if companies can start by just sharing how they build, because if you look at every other tech company, both the ones that are not building developer tools but building consumer tools, Netflix, for example, yeah, these are big companies. They have tech blogs, right? A lot of companies outside Africa and even a few in some parts of Africa, South Africa, they have tech blog. They share how they make those decisions and all, right? And these are knowledge that you rarely get. You only see that when like maybe someone like Julian, right, that have left Money Point shared, may writes an article, someone at Paystack once writes an article and all, right? So it's not an intentional effort. And this knowledge now is something that will like motivate someone. We know what happened when Prosper Otemuyiwa wrote about who is speaking on your behalf, how it like changed the mindset of a lot of people, all this kind of stuff. So for anyone that is working at a Nigerian company, right, or a company that have affiliations to Nigeria that is watching this now, so the barest minimum, if you cannot give us money, we understand. We know say, can I say Tinubu here without any action? I no longer live in Nigeria. People cannot arrest me. So we don't say country hard. We cannot even talk to the one where they go find me. We don't say country hard, but like at least you can do the barest minimum of sharing stuff to us. And moving on to the next question, right? Wanted to ask, I know I'm going off script somewhat because I'm trying to move in line with conversation. And I think the next question that I want to ask, right, say, what does it take for an African engineer? Okay, I see someone, Marachi said something. KCD should find a way to document the user stories of Nigerian corporations. Telling the stories increase more adoption, encourage corporations to hire talents from the community. User stories increases feature improvement. KCD can be a platform to home and grow talent for Nigeria tech um, yeah, buyers or for Nigeria tech people, right? So I think that is great, and that's our long term goal, right? To be able to tell those stories, but we have to start from somewhere. And to be very honest, right, we are all transparent. We are building this open source community. It's expensive to do all this. we know what we're battled to like try to get sponsors and the back and forth and the no's and the all. I know that's life, but this is like an overarching goal we have, right? And at one point, I thought about an idea because I was in Senegal and I was chatting with someone, Senegal last year. I was chatting with someone in from Senegal who is in charge of Cloud Native Dakar, right, which is the capital of Senegal. And we're having a conversation and all. So let's say recording that kind of conversation, having these calls in person, and like bring these stories together will help us even to sell to the people that will give us the money to like invest back, right? And aside from like getting money, we also need humans. So like talents to come and like volunteer and like be involved. And like someone like Amarachi now has been involved on social media now. And this is a call to action to you, Amarachi. Be more involved, come and contribute, come and like do something, right? Because there's so much value you get, right? I know I spoke in KCD Nigeria 2022, right? And it has helped me so much. And there's so much you give to the next person. So with that, like, let me go to the question I was mentioning. Say, and I'll ask Somto this question. So, what does it take for an African engineer to be taken serious on the global stage? Why I'm asking Somto this question? She don't smile first. Okay, smile because you will see the content because she's in the global of the global stage. She's where I want to be when I grow up. She's in the top tiers, right? And she did it from being like in Nigeria, going out and coming back, right? And so what do you think someone needs? I know we see a lot about lead code and all this, but I know it's beyond that, right? So, what are the tips and tricks? Because that's more valuable. Maybe we make the money first before we can give back. So, tell us how.
Okay, you just say why me divine.
Move it.
But but I beg, I never too global. Like me, I still dey try. But jokes aside, right? I think one thing people don't realize about open source is that open source is actually a global space.
Yeah,
In every Kubernetes communities, there are engineers from Google, there are engineers from Amazon, there are people from all over the world, there are Indians, there are Americans. So actually getting into open source is actually how I got into the global space, right? I was
wow.
part of like Google Summer of Code in like 2020 and contributing to Kubernetes, like had like mentors for companies like Google and WeWorks. And yes, Google Summer of Code was like a structured way to do that, but you don't really need to, right? You can start to contribute because I mean that's even what increases your chances of getting into such programs is that you can start to
Yeah,
contribute before that time, right? Because I was talking with someone about this and I was discussing with another engineer and the person was like, oh, what about AI? Like how AI is kind of disrupting the whole space and like
yeah,
open source maintainers are being overwhelmed, right? Like people are just pushing out AI PR, it's like PRs with AI and like not caring. That's obviously not what we want to encourage. I still think there's going to be value. Like open source communities are still going to need people to push things, right? And it's important for you to show up curious, interact with the community. Don't just use AI to like genuinely try to understand this thing. Of course, like there are ways AI can help around that. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're getting in, like be prepared to show up and try and be willing to learn, right? So
yeah,
the hack for me was literally getting into open source, which is why I encouraged a lot of people like just get into a good open source project that aligns with your interests. It doesn't even have to be Kubernetes. You don't even have to be in the cloud native space, right? There's open source projects for almost every kind of project that you're interested in, be it web, backend, machine learning. So just getting into those communities, looking for like an active vibrant community that is like already doing at least a part of what how you envision your career to be is for me the number one hack, right? And just being able to interact, so that just gives you access to like interact with engineers from all over the world, learn from them, contribute back to those communities, and of course like job opportunities are shared on those on
yeah,
like Slack channels, like being access to that, like if you're working with an engineer, if the engineer has worked with you, it's so much easier for them to like say, okay, yeah, we're hiring someone else to pick up this person. So yeah, that's kind of my suggestion.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, right? And I want to throw in a non-accurate stat, but I feel is accurate in the sense that I think about 90% of people you see that have gone global, let's say you were born, you went to uni and you grew up in Nigeria, that have gone global in the tech space, 90% of them would always attribute open source. That is just it, because that is the best way and easiest way to get in. Then the other 10%, right? Maybe you can say is through all these programs like Goldman Sachs, going from UI, Unilag, and going to for those internship, SEO Africa, and all. So those are the two like most trusted pathway now that people use, right? And like I want to present my screen and show like I think what do they call it? A QR code, right? Of open source programs, right? That people can scan this QR code. If you're watching now with your phone, or if you're with your phone, you can screenshot, or if you're with your laptop, you can bring out your phone and scan this QR code, and you it will take you to a YouTube channel where you can see like several open source programs that you can get started in. And me now, like also it's through open source that got me like where I am right today. Also Gloria, also Anita. So like basically my stat is correct, right? So 90%. Yeah, it's 100% too, but like 90% of people, right, we want to offset some numbers. So get involved in open source. You can get involved through KCD. And again, if you have not gotten your ticket and you're going to be in Nigeria, whether you be in if you're in Port Harcourt, you can trek to Lagos. If you cannot fly, you trek, right? If you cannot trek, you follow Atlantic. You can go like this and go like this to get to Lagos. But get your ticket first. If you don't have money for flight, if you're in Niger State and don't have money for flight, just buy your ticket first. Even if you're in Casina, when you buy your ticket first, we'll pray. Flight money will come. Flight money will
Gee,
come. Buy your ticket
So
now.
another balance I wanted to bring to this too is that open source does not negate hard work.
Hmm.
So of course, yes, when we say open source, we don't just mean get in, like we mean get in and do the work, right? So
Intentionally do the work.
eventually do the work, right? Open source
Yeah.
would not like say prevent you from also building foundational knowledge, right? Stay
Mhm.
curious, keep working hard, like be very open to learning, especially in these communities. Like when you get feedback,
Yeah.
like implement it. So we're not saying that you just get into open source and it all starts from there. Like it helps, but at the base of it, there's always going to be a need for competent, curious people. So as much as yes, we're saying open source, but the hack still is to like get your foundations right,
Yeah.
work on projects, right? Whether those be personal, open source or otherwise, right? Interact with people, especially more senior people that you can learn with and
Yeah.
stay curious.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, right? And well, let me be cliche and say some of these quotes where they tell us when it's small. Say you can take a horse to the river and you can show him the water, but the horse, if he does not want to feed, he will not feed, right? So now I'm giving you the soap. You bath it, you go and do the work because like nothing worthwhile is easy, right? And that's what separates. That's what a lot of people don't do. That's why like you see someone who they have the information they need or they have the access they need to succeed. But they don't do anything about it because they think like it's somewhat easy. Like you Tomto mentioned, is 6 years since she did Google Summer of Code. Now she is a software engineer. Don't think that you do something now 1 year now tomorrow now you are buying Porsche. God, if that can happen to me, God, I accept it. But you get what I mean, right? Let's wake up to like reality and do the work. So I think that leads me to like my next question. But before that, I see a comment from Fabrizio. Let me remove this. Uh, and Fabrizio is our supporter and he's coming for KCD again. Fabrizio is Italian, right? Lives in Colombia and he was at KCD Nigeria last year. And by God's grace, he will come again, right? And Gloria, they hear you, they hot. They don't mention my name, they don't mention Somtochi, they don't mention Anita, now you where they mention. Hey. So yeah, hopefully I believe they will give you the visa, you will get the visa, and if they don't give you, I'll call government, or something will call government. You know, the big people. I think one of them is in Abuja. They'll just stress to Afro Rock and that, right? So, and also Fabrizio left another comment. Let me get up and show. Say, consider the past edition. Uh, considering the past edition, uh, I think is it my network or is Gloria's network?
I think it's Gloria's network.
Okay. So one of the issues that we are struggling with in Nigeria. So we need to one of the issues that one itself is also one of the barrier that is even stopping us because we're dealing with infrastructure problem. So I want us to talk about this comment, right? Said okay, considering the past edition, I'm curious to know from how it has been, how it will be this time, the evolution of the community organizer and other details. That edition was unforgettable. I still have my brothers. It's good you still have their brothers. I think that's something we need to do at the start of this KCD, right? Do like a report of like, oh, this is what happened, because a lot of things have happened from the more community groups to like more contributors, more people in the KCD team. You know, last time we never really used like a program committee to review the talks. Now we have the program committee. So we'll talk more about it like on the ground and all, and talk more about it, right? And I think that goes my next question, which I want to ask Gloria, since you have hailed her now. Let me put her on the spot. Gloria, why did you disappear? As I say, I want to put you on the spot. So, can you hear me? Can you hear us?
I think my network is bad. Can you hear
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we can
can
hear
hear
you
you.
now.
my
Yeah, it's
network?
better now. Okay, it's better now. So I wanted to
Okay.
ask, right?
Okay.
So for an engineer or
Yeah.
someone that wants to contribute in the community, we've been talking about contribution, and like you have the most recent experience. And there's one thing I always say: when you want to get the most factual data about something, ask people that did it recently, right? So what do you think, right? So someone that does not know where to start from, what do you think they should start? Where do you think they should start from? So you can consider any persona. Let's say someone can be an engineer or like a designer or like a, let's say someone that is into community building and all. Where do you think they should start from?
Okay. I think they should start from joining a community. I feel like that's the most basic response, for
Yeah.
a newcomer, for a newbie, the best thing to do would be to join a community, a community of people who are already doing what you want to do, are already where you want to be. That way you have, more guidance, you have people to get feedback from, to learn from, and even attending events like KCD Nigeria is also one opportunity, because you can also connect with people who are on the same level as you, and build a community that can help you in your journey. I think that's
Yeah,
the basic
yeah,
thing that
I
I'm going to
completely
say.
agree with you, right? Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the barest minimum, the lowest friction point is come to KCD Nigeria. I don't want to turn this into marketing now because I want you to buy your tickets. But like serious, market buying your ticket and coming aside, right? Conferencing, going to conferences, going to events has changed my life. The people I'm building everything DevOps with now are like GPU and all, right? I met them at the conference. You don't know who you meet. If you even meet your wife or husband or
So
boyfriend or girlfriend for
there's
conference,
this there's this say that you increase your chances of luck by being in the right spaces, and that's basically what we're talking about here. Either being part of a community, whether it's open source, coming
yeah.
to KCD Nigeria, or like other. It doesn't have to start with KCD Nigeria, but I'd say start with KCD Nigeria. Right. So like being in spaces where people that are doing the work are, and where you can easily see a reference point to start from is always a good point to like increase your chances of luck, because you could
Mm.
meet somebody and tomorrow you're either co-founders with them, or you're part of their project, or you're working on their team, whatever the case may be, right? But
Mm.
then there's some chances that whoever or however you meet people at this space or in these spaces would increase your chances of luck. And the reason that is that you get new insights on how you could navigate a project that you have, but you don't know how to go about it. When you're in spaces like this, you hear how people are also like dealing with those similar challenges,
Yeah.
and you can impute that into your own project. When you're in spaces like this, you hear how people have also like navigated problems that you're dealing with, and the pathways that they took, and you could implement that into your own life, and it helps you. So like, we're not saying we're going to magically solve your problems, but you're likely to increase your chances of luck by being in spaces like this. So come to KCD Nigeria.
Thank you very
What Anita
much.
said. What Anita
Marketing department of KCD Nigeria says thank you. I think that will
Um,
that
I'll see. Another thing is, please don't
yeah,
just stop at the conference. Join the community. Join the community, right? If you're coming for KCD Nigeria every year, you come, you get supercharged. 1 week, we will not see you again. And that's not the energy that we want. What do we say at first? More energy, more energy. So come, join the community, join Kubernetes, look for a special interest group that aligns with
yeah,
what you want to do. Join their, like, they have like almost weekly meetings. There's the release team, right? There's the team on networking, there's API machinery. So there's actually a lot of ways that you can learn further outside the conference. So yes, the conference, we're trying to encourage you, we're trying to bring like speakers who have experience in the space. But please,
yeah,
after the conference, like as you are now, just check and join Kubernetes Slack first. Just enter first. Then you now start figuring out yourself. And yes, it might feel overwhelming because there's like a lot of people there. There's a lot of channels. There's like,
yeah,
here and here. But I think there's an Africa channel. So come there and ask us. I just joined. This is what I'm
yeah,
interested in. How can I go about it, right? There's a lot of resources. Kubernetes is a very large project and they are usually looking for hands. So they have a lot of resources on how you can contribute. So please don't stop at the conferences. Make sure you enter the community. Make sure you contribute to the community, even if it's code, docs, even like project management, because
mm,
release engineering is basically the release team
mm,
is like trying to manage it Kubernetes
yeah.
release. So there's actually a lot to do. So please, if you're trying to grow, don't just stop at the conferences. Always make sure that for conferences that you attend, there's some post-conference action that is keeping you in the loop.
Mm. Thank you very much for sharing this. And I just, as you were saying, right, I just remembered we have 10 certification vouchers to give at the event. So let's do the mathematics. Super early bed now is 5,000 naira, right? How much is KCNA ticket? 200, the KCNA certification, $250. So 5,000 naira is how many dollars? $4. So you have the potential of investing 5,000 naira, right, to get value of almost 270,000 naira, plus the knowledge, plus the experience and all. I know I'm sounding like all marketing and all and this thing, but the KCNA voucher that I got in 2021 when Chris like shared the voucher is what kickstarted my journey that has got me here, right, in the Kubernetes space. Yes, I was using Docker. Yes, I was working for a company and all, right, but it opened me to a whole new world. So we have vouchers that we're going to share. 10 lucky people are going to get a voucher at the event. So if you're not planning to come and everything that we've been saying this since did not convince you, now there's more incentive. So we see you there. And just as Somto and Anita has said, right, there's more to get beyond just the like, oh, I came to KCD Nigeria. You post that LinkedIn post, people connect with you, post on Twitter, you meet those people and all, right. Get involved, connect. If you see Somto on the ground, ask her question. She's big. Ask her, interrogate her, no alarm, go. If you see Anita, hold Anita. See Gloria, hold Gloria. No hold me, oh, because me, I know dey. I don't know anything. That just energy wey
What is
especially
divine for the money? If you need if you need anything, divine is our boss.
yeah, oh,
I beg,
speaking to
go
my
for
life,
your
speaking to my
experience.
life. But yeah, right. So that's it. And I think I don't know what's time. We are we still have more than 30 minutes more. But before we need to like spend most of the time on Q&A for the people that are here, right? So I think the one of the very last question I want to say is like, what's one concrete thing that you see that we're doing now in the community that gives you hope? One thing I've learned, like building a business the past 2 years, is you need to, the more you do, the more you see what is working. When you see what is working, you need to streamline more in what is working, right? Because as human beings, it's so easy to go and be chasing that exciting thing or no. So what do you think? And I want to ask each one of us, and every one of us will give different answer. Not Gloria, you now say, oh, building up on what Anita say, you give us different answer. Oh. So everybody will give us answer on their own. And me say, let me start taking care of my own. So what do you think is one thing that you're seeing in the community that gives us hope that okay, like we're gonna grow and all, right? Or what's that one thing that you think we should do more and all? So let's start with Anita.
Okay, so personally, I think one of the things that gives me so much hope with like the cloud native community in Nigeria is the number of persons that post or like have showed up to say they either got this particular certification, the
Mm,
KCD certification, the CN a like the associate certification, the developer Kubernetes developer
yeah.
certification. I have seen a whole lot more persons boast of these in the past 2 years than I did in the time when I joined the
Mm,
cloud native community.
mm,
And so that alone shows me that a lot more persons are picking interest with this particular space, within this particular space, right? And so, like in my mind, I'm like, we have this dream of eventually having a KubeCon Africa or a KubeCon Nigeria, right? And with this number of persons emerging as enthusiasts that are willing to get into positions, not just jobs, but like also take on leadership within building communities, building initiatives, we have higher possibilities of attaining that with this person showing up. And so
yeah.
imagine in the past few years we've had this number of persons. Imagine what would happen next year after we host this KCD Nigeria, right? Imagine how many persons would be motivated to also like go back and build on their careers and also like want to give back to the community with what they have. We can channel all of that towards our big goal of having a KubeCon down here as well. So like for me, that is a good indicator that something good is brewing,
Mm.
and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, right? So yeah, we are working on something, more certificates, more cube astronauts, more golden cube astronauts. And remember, we are sharing certificate at KCD Nigeria 2026. Come and get your certificate. So Gloria, over to you. What do you think we need to double down in, or what gives you hope also? I think her network is lagging a bit. So why her network gets better, Somto, can you share some insights?
So I'd say one thing that gives me hopeful is that individuals keep showing up, right? To me, that's important, right? We put out a call for volunteers. We had people sign up and be willing to give their time. We don't take it for granted, right? A lot of us, I don't think very none of us are being paid here to do this. So I
So
think the
I think
willingness people to dedicate some of their time. Yes, a lot we can do better. But like the willingness for people to show up, to keep showing up, right? The consistency of the organizers of KCD, all of us, the volunteers, the people who are doing the hard work of keeping this community moving is what gave me hope, right? Another thing is like even like a company like yours, everything DevOps Divine is also I think part of what grows the ecosystem, right? Serious companies doing putting out resources, putting out newsletters, doing research, giving insights. Is also like I said, this cooperation and community. So
Yeah.
those two is keeping hopeful.
Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, and thank you for shouting out everything the Bobs. If you have not signed up, let me do shameless plug now. If you have not signed up to our newsletter, subscribe, sign up. I know someone for the Everything DevOps team. Please drop the newsletter link on LinkedIn chat right now, right now, right now. Now they have plugged us. So I think Gloria is back. So Gloria, did you hear the
Yes,
question,
I'm
right?
back. Can you
Hmm.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, my network threw me off. But yeah, I heard the question, and
Yeah.
I is this is not intentional, but I want to build up on what Anita said, right? So I think one concrete thing that gives
Mm-hmm.
me hope, I would say, is growth. And I don't mean this from a marketing perspective, but
Yeah.
last year KCD Nigeria collocated with Oscar Fest, and then this year we're hosting a standalone event, and I think that alone is like visible of like the progress of
Mm.
how far we've come.
Yeah.
And I think we also have, and not just moving from like a collocated event to hosting a standalone event, we also have like we've seen more people show interest in speaking at the events, contributing, even volunteering and all of that. So I think the growing interest gives us hope that we're doing something right.
Yes, yes. And what we just have to do is to be consistent and continue to show up. And then a few years from now, right, we'd have our KubeCon Africa, and then Gloria will be emceeing us and be guiding us as a senior. So, but I say man, and Anita will be carrying us, and also like, yeah, everything is possible so long as we put in the work. And I don't know if anyone that's watching now have a question or something. No, so like I think this is the time for questions. So you can ask your question while we are here. Ask your question anything about community in Africa, whether you're just getting started, you are an OG, you're in mid level, you're looking for an opportunity, or ask a question about a particular open source program, just anything, right? You can drop your question in the chat and then we'll bring it up on the screen. And yeah, so let me. Oh yes, I need to. The shameless plug for Everything DevOps newsletter is in the comments. I need to bring it there, but it's not showing. No, I don't have access to bring this to. Hmm. Okay, yeah, it's showing now. Glory. So copy this link and join and receive our research and insights, just like Somto shared, right? So if you have any question, ask a question and all. And while we're still waiting for question, right? Um, what do you think every engineer watching this right now, right, or watching this whenever in the future, right? What do you think there's one thing they can do today? Anyone can answer this. What do you think is some one thing they can do today? I can start by answering it. One thing I would say they will do today. I'm laughing because I already know what I want to say is buy your KCD Nigeria 2026 ticket. That's what you can do today, right? But aside from that, right, one thing you can also do today is like Somto has said, let me borrow from Somto, join the CNCF Slack channel. So aside from that, like what else do you think, right? Okay, say please, can I get the link to KCD community? I followed the page already. Yes, I already got my ticket. Yeah, so I think we have a WhatsApp community. We are building a WhatsApp community. So I think um let me try to get the link and put it in the comments so anyone can join directly to the WhatsApp community. Or I don't know if anyone can tell something. You have the link to the WhatsApp community. So I think there, like we want to be more because almost everybody in Nigeria uses WhatsApp, right? So that helps like in more direct communication, like broadcast and people receiving message faster and all, right? So aside from that, we also have the KCD Africa on the CNCF Slack, so you can join that and all. So, but aside from those two, uh, you can reach out to Somto or Anita, right? So like ask question on how to get involved and all. Maybe you want to be helping on ground in Lagos, right? So that would be helpful and that would be great. So that's also one way you can get started. But let me try to get the link while Anita or some to give their insight on what someone can do today. Let me get the link and share.
So I think we already talked about this earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and with reference, and I'm referencing back to like the open source and being part of a community, right? Working in isolation has never helped anybody. You might think you're moving in silence and you're going to come out with a big win, but if you join a community today, those people in the community will give you a bigger win. I can assure you that. So sometimes working in isolation is good, but it's not always effective, especially if you want to build a global career and brand. And so put yourself out there, get involved with a community that aligns with what you're currently doing, whether it is on the engineering side, whether it is on the community side, whatever aspect that you're involved in, right? Find a place to belong to where you can actually
Yeah,
relate to those people. And that would be a good place for me to my own points. That's where to start.
yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that. What about you, Santo?
I think we've already talked about community, so I'll just also encourage people to lay hold of opportunities, right? Especially when you're early on. At least me, I struggled with a lot of, I still do, imposter syndrome, like feeling like, I'm not ready for, let me say, the certification. I never reach, like, of course, like, do your homework, but also leave yourself open for opportunities, apply for jobs, right? That even though you might not be 101%, like don't wait until you're 100% ready. That's what I would say. It's like lay hold of opportunities. They will be the ones to be. I tell my friends like, don't reject yourself before they reject you, right?
Mm,
So just like if you see scholarships, if you see mentorship opportunities, reach out to that engineer that you've been admiring. Of course, like with substance, right? Of course, everything has like a context. I don't mean like just start firing off AI messages to people, please no. But like if you can engage meaningfully, please do. Like so, those are when I mean opportunities. I don't necessarily mean like just jobs and scholarships. Like even
yeah,
interacting with people, like when you come for KCD, you see someone who you think is doing something interesting, it's also an opportunity for you to network, right? So all of those things is just like give yourself more chances.
yeah. And that's something that um we we don't get talked about, right? When someone tells you what to do, when someone that has done what you want to do, tells you what to do. I think that's the secret to like fastest way to have success, especially like in tech, right? Because there's so much information out there, but you go follow who know road, oh, because if you don't know, you don't know, right? You can't piece everything together by yourself. So I sent the link to the WhatsApp group. I don't know why it's not showing up on the comments here. I put it in the comment on the LinkedIn comment. So if you're seeing the LinkedIn comment on LinkedIn Live, if that's where you're watching this, you can check the comment. You see the link to the WhatsApp group, and then like join the WhatsApp group, right? And yeah, I don't think anyone has asked any questions so far. But if you see this on the Everything Develops YouTube channel in the near future and you have a question, just drop your question on in the comments and I'll personally like respond to it. And I just want to say thank you very much to Anita, Gloria, and Somtochi for taking their time to be here with us, right? And time to contribute to the community and all. And I'm so happy that because you people showed good example, right? Because a lot of times we get that though I cannot relate. I'm not a woman, right? I'm a man. But most times like we don't see a lot of women becoming active in communities and all. They say, oh, it's a man thing or tech and all right. But you people are here are my mentors, mentoring me and helping us to do better. You get that kind of thing. So you're showing good example for every young African, uh, whatever the agenda is, so all over the world, right? So thank you very much for taking time to be here. So I know you have to rush out because it's TGIF, go to Quilos and they know themselves, those Abuja people, to drink Arabian tea. So I'll leave you people to go and enjoy. But thank you very much for taking your time and follow the KCD. If you're watching this now or in the future, follow KCD Nigeria on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Follow everything develops. Follow Somtochi, follow Anita, follow Gloria. If you can follow me, make I see food chop. So all in all, thank you very much for like spending your time with us on your Friday evening. And we'll do something like this again next month as we build up to KCD and then October, the final TDD day. Then after we'll still continue the energy as our senior madam Somto don't tell us. So energy high. Who sing that energy song? I mean, I star. Sponsor also Money Point and the like. So if you bring Aya Star now to our event, or if you bring the video, so we'll take our to the next level. If you tell say the video they come like this, ticket go sell out. You go say they go sell. Well, thank you everyone. And yeah,
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, thank you so much for having us, Divine. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lovely session. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Everything DevOps. Don't forget to
Yeah,
get your tickets for KCD Nigeria.
yeah
Bye.
so bye.
Bye everyone.